Hi Karina, this little video is just to explain a job that I'd like you to move on to, and this is an issue we have with role assignments becoming unassigned. So just my extremely thorough summary there. I'm going to explain the problem, and then I'm going to explain what we need to do, and also some of the techniques that I think may help us, and some of the things that we need to test for. So, right, let's first of all say a few words about how the roles actually work. And going back to some of the stuff that we did in the training, you may recall that particular roles can be assigned at particular content within particular contexts within the system. So we have a system context and we have a course context. Now the roles that are actually assigned depend on the organisation type. So if it is a school, then the field org type in the LBH structure record is 1 and it takes the role of school, and if that same field is 2, it takes the role of ECE. Now those roles are actually defined as parameters in the LBH structure settings, just to show you where they are. So if we look on the plugin, system admin plugins, local plugins, learn by heart settings, we will see that those roles are actually defined here and here, the school role and the ECE role. There is no need to, I mean, those aren't going to change, so I guess I'm just making the point there that those aren't hard-coded, they are actually parameterized there. We'll come back to that in a moment. Now, at the moment, the situation with the organisational roles is a little bit undefined. At system level, some are defined and some not. So some organisations don't have any role assigned at system level, and some of them, for some reason, have 2 role assignment records. I'm not entirely sure why this is. We don't, I think, need to worry too much about that. In any case, any new records, any new organisations created since March should have this system level role assigned when the record is created. So if we just duck into our users, permissions, assign system roles, and if we pick, for instance, ECE, we don't see them here, but let's just put okay. We see all of our ECE ones there. So in theory, as it's created, it should take this role on. But of course, most of these records were actually created before the upgrade. So the situation we have at the moment at system level is that it's a little bit uncertain. Some of them have no role assignment, and some of them have actually got 2 records there, which is odd. Now what happens is when the organisation enrolls in one of the awards in, say, Retail Pharma, they will be assigned the same role, ECE or school, at the course level. And the problem is that for some reason these are becoming unassigned. So if we just go back here, let's pick a course, say Retail. And if I go into the users and enrolled users, we'll see that they have ECE assigned here. Now, what can happen, I mean, I can manually remove this, but what seems to be happening is that the some process, whether it's a piece of user behavior, is unassigning these roles. I'll just put that one back. Now, I do not know what is causing this, but the reason this is a problem is both whatever the immediate cause is, it shouldn't be a problem if the role is correctly set at system level, because you may recall that if a role is not set at course level, it will simply default to the level above, in this case the system context. So even if we don't know the cause, I believe we should know that the solution is that if we get the system roles sorted, then it should prevent the problem from happening again. So what we need to do is create a job to assign all organisational users the correct role in the system context, and we will need to check it as well. Now the code that we can use, and this is going to be essentially a one-shot job. What I will do is I will show you, this is actually, it's gone, here it is. So what I'm going to do is just lift this code out here and send it through to you. This is this code here is the code that we already have when we create users, and I think we can use something very similar to in this job. So basically, just to write a little piece of pseudocode around it, I'll just create a new file. Let's take that. So I will send this through to you, but we'll need to establish the organisation type. If it's 1, then set it to that. If it's 2, and there'll need to be a loop around it somehow. So for each, what do we do for each? Hang on. Okay, Karina, just broke off there to put a little bit of pseudocode together. So I think it needs to look something like this. I haven't put the function name in there, so this is just a scratch piece of code. It's not tested, but I'm just giving you some pointers for what I think we need to do. First of all, we need to establish the global variables CFG and DB because we're going to use those. Now, the actual library that we need to include, I think, is the second. It's going to be one of those 4. We don't need all 4, but I think it's the second one. I just haven't checked which one is actually required, but you can't go wrong, I think, if you link all of them in. But I have a feeling it's this one there. And we will need that to actually use the role assign function down here, which I'll come to in a moment. The SQL here, the piece of SQL we use, simply retrieves all the user records with their local LBH structure records, and it only is interested in organizational users, so it's only interested in those users where there is a local LBH structure record. We don't want the HPCs or anything like that. Right, then for each record in that data set, if the organization type is 1, it's a school. The school role, it gets from get config. It'll get that parameter there for the school role, and then use the role assign function to assign that in the system context, and similarly for the ECE. So the important thing here is that we need to make sure it only changes organizational records. Well, the SQL should take care of that, and that it obviously assigns the correct role to each type of organization. So that's just a little bit of a guide. Obviously, because we're doing a data update, this is potentially quite a risky one. So, but I mean, that's that's something where we can just check for in staging and test and so forth. But yeah, so that's my very rough idea of what code is required. I will send that through to you. Yeah, and I'll put this on the Trello board. Okay, cheers, Karina.